I remember as a kid being told that money is the root of all evil. Now, I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but to me, that seemed like a bunch of bullshit. Seriously, it seemed all the problems that me and my family were facing were because we didn't have any money. I remember my mom working 3 jobs to be able to support us 3 kids to make ends meet. She was always working. We rarely ever saw her. And when we did see her, it was to eat a meal. Top ramen pretty much on the menu every single night. All of my clothes were used, donated, hand-me-downs. I had patches on all of my clothing. I was really embarrassed of our living conditions. We lived in this old beat-up trailer that had bugs in it. It had holes in the floor. During homecoming season, I did not tell the cheerleaders where I lived. I purposely did not give out my address. And my mom, they called my mom somehow, and they got our address. I remember being horrified when I got home from football practice and my room was all decorated and I just tore it all down. I was crying. I was just so embarrassed because I thought where I live and what I've got is somehow a reflection of me. In today's video, gents, I'm going to share with you the lessons learned on my journey from trailer park to running 3 successful companies. Lesson number 1, believe in yourself. I remember back in 4th grade, on paper, statistically, I was a disadvantaged kid. I was a minority. I was poor. I had a speech disorder. And then they had this contest for everyone in the entire grade in which they put us on a level playing field. It was climb Mount Olympus. And for every book you read, you took a step. And I think there were 10 steps to the top of Mount Olympus, and there was a 30-day time period on this. Well, guess what? I decided, you know what? They think I'm stupid. I'm going to show them because I was a great reader. I didn't read just 10 books. No, I didn't read just 30 books. It must have been like 75 books. It was so many books that I didn't just crush the competition. I destroyed them. Everyone else was on one side of the class. My cloud that was going up the top of Mount Olympus, it went across the ceiling and ended up on the other side. And I remember after that, everyone looked at me differently. You need to find where you're great at something, no matter what it may be, and cultivate that, work off that. And for me, it was reading, it was doing research, and that led to other big wins. And for me to develop enough self-confidence to continue moving on as I got older. Automate your success habits. Whether you know it or not, you have a routine. Now, that routine may be the habit of running your life in complete chaos, but still, it's a routine. Gents, one of the best things I ever did was make my life boring with set routines that are going in the right direction. So I'm not even thinking about it, but I am taking those small steps in the direction towards financial freedom, towards business freedom, towards being able to make sure that I've got a body that I'm going to be able to use when I'm in my 80s and 90s. Now, when it comes to my personal finances, one of the biggest mistakes I made as a business owner early on is I didn't pay myself first. Sure, I paid all my bills, I paid my employees, and I thought, you know what, I'll just take what's ever left. The problem with that is if you take what's ever left, then you're always going to overspend somewhere else. You're never going to have enough left to actually consistently save and put away the money that you need to be financially secure. So how to be financially secure? Well, first up, you want to set yourself in a position that you don't have to worry about money day to day, month to month. One of the best ways to do this is to start investing your money. So how to get started investing? Well, let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Wealthfront. In a nutshell, gents, Wealthfront makes investing easy, affordable, and accessible no matter what your knowledge of finance is. They do this by helping you invest in a globally diverse portfolio of low-cost index funds to make your savings work for you. Whether you're wanting to save for retirement or just want to start saving in general, Wealthfront has you covered with a range of investment accounts. And setting up an account is super easy. It takes just a few minutes and the questions are simple. Are you interested in general long-term investment, retirement investing, college investing? What's your age, your risk tolerance? Once these questions are answered, Wealthfront directs you in the right direction, and then all you need is a starting balance of $500 to open your first investment account. Now, FYI, Wealthfront has an annual management fee of 0.25%. However, if you use the link down in the description of today's video, your first $5,000 is managed for free for life. Invest.wealthfront.com/RMRS. And let's discuss transparency. What's nice about Wealthfront is they're one of the few companies that disclose their annual returns. So if you go to their website, you can see the exact returns on specific portfolios. Of course, remember that past performance isn't indicative of future performance. Wow, I sound like a lawyer there, right? And gents, now let's talk about my favorite part, smart automation. With Wealthfront, you set it and forget it. And their software, which is designed by PhDs, does the work. Seriously, once you open and fund your account, the Wealthfront software manages everything and employs strategies like rebalancing to keep your desired risk threshold. And it also looks for opportunities to lower your tax bill through tax loss harvesting services. To get started today, gents, all you have to do is click on the link in the description of today's video and go to invest.wealthfront.com/RMRS. Again, your first $5,000 invested will be managed for free for life if you use that link. So as an example, if you open a $10,000 account with the $5,000 managed fee promotion, your monthly management fee would be approximately $1. Again, gents, use the link invest.wealthfront.com/RMRS to ensure your first $5,000 invested is managed for free. To make sure that you win the game, make sure that you design it. So in college, I learned a very painful lesson on how you can lose a game even when you play by the rules when the people in charge decide they're going to change them. So I took this stagecraft course and I was not doing well. By mid-semester, my average was a D. I needed help. And I went back and I read the rules on the course. And it turned out you could get a point on your final score for every 3 hours you volunteered and worked on the stage. So guess what? I volunteered over 100 hours for the next couple months, and I just kept building up all these points. When I got my final grade, though, I was shocked to see that I was given a B-. And I was like, what? I mean, I put in all these hours. I should have actually gotten an A based off that point system. Turned out, though, my professor said, well, I can't put you higher than all of these better students. And even though you did this, he decided to change the rules. I lost my scholarship because of that snafu, but I learned a very valuable lesson. Control the game. Make sure that it's your game and you're making the rules. So fast forward 15 years, I start my own company. Why? Because I know as the owner of my company, guess what? I get to determine what I'm going to pay myself. Of course, the company has to make a profit. But if I've got a very successful business, I can choose to pay myself hundreds of thousands of dollars a year versus being at the whim of what somebody wants to pay me. Guys, if you're playing somebody else's game, you're always playing at a disadvantage. Lesson number 4, work hard, but make sure you're working in the right direction. Now, there's a myth out there that people without money are lazy, that the poor don't have any work ethic. That's a bunch of BS. I'm surrounded by people that on average make, well, $30,000, maybe $35,000 a year. And I see these people getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work until 9 o'clock at night, working 2 jobs. And these people are very hard workers. And that was my family. My entire family's worked in factories and they've done service jobs that don't pay much. But what I noticed that a lot of people work really hard, but they're not working in the right direction, on the areas or in the direction that are really going to make them more money. One friend of mine, actually a family friend, I watched this young man get into computer programming, which, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there, but he picked up an obscure language. He really liked it, and it was something he also knew there were tons of job opportunities. There was a shortage of people that understood this unique coding language. So guess what? He's making 10 times what people normally make in his country because he was very strategic about what he was going to work hard on. So make sure when you got a goal and you know what direction you want to go, that it's the right direction, and then work hard at it. Lesson number 5, your off time matters a lot. Yeah, I get it. You're working 40 hours a week. Well, guess what? That is your rent for being here on this planet. What are you doing with the rest of the time? You got 168 hours a week. I get it. Sleeping 70. So you've still got 58 hours that are unaccounted for. Now you could get another job. You could be picking up skills that are going to pay the bills. Guys, go out there and what are you doing with your off time? Are you sitting and warming yourself in front of that television? Are you building deeper relationships with people that matter? I'm not saying you got to go out there and make money. I am saying that you need to be a good steward of your time because that is the most valuable thing you have in your life. So make sure that you're using your time wisely and that you are accounting for it. In the same way that you account for every dollar, you should account for every hour of your week. The next lesson learned, be willing to fail 1,330 times. Why that number? Because that was the number of strikeouts that Babe Ruth had. He also had home runs, 714, which was the record for a long time. How was he able to achieve that success? He wasn't afraid to fail. If you think about it, number-wise, every time he would take a chance on something, he would fail 2 out of 3 times. You've got to accept that it's going to be something close to that, if not even worse. But here's the bright side. No one cares about your failures once they start to see your wins. And fail fast and then move on to your next try. Now, this next one is really important, and that is be less stupid. I know it's tough for a lot of us, especially me. So when I graduated college, I thought if I hid that my student loans would never catch up with me. Yeah, 2 years later, they found me with all of the interest, and my credit was destroyed. Another stupid thing, I would go out and drink and party and get arrested. Happened once in college, and when I went back to my college town, I got arrested for public intox again, except this time I was a young Marine officer. I had a lot more to lose, and that sobered me up because all of a sudden I started thinking, I've got a whole lot to lose. I can't let this happen again. In summary, gents, find ways to reduce risk and protect yourself from your possibly biggest liability, which could be you and your own behavior. The next lesson, living a successful life, become a simple man. And by this, I mean simple tastes, live below your means. When you can find the greatest happiness is simply having good company, good friends, having people that love you and loving them back, being able to go on a walk and enjoy nature, just simply finding happiness in reading a book. And the best things in life truly are free, especially when you got a little bit of financial independence. And when you set the bar low, I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, in a state that is a flyover state that is very boring, has a low tax rate in my area. I still to this day live in a very, I think, simple, humble house. Let me know in the comments if you guys ever want to see a home tour, but I'll tell you, there's not much there. I drive the same truck I've had for over 22 years now. I don't need too much, says a guy I know that wears fancy watches, but this is all through the business and I make money off that. Point being, when it comes to my own personal happiness, I really try to cultivate this idea that I don't need much. And because of that, if you're able to find happiness in the simplest of things, you're going to be able to find happiness really where it's always been, which is in you. The next lesson learned, find good partners. So there's a reason that even though I fall down on exercise, I've been able to stay in pretty good shape because I've got an amazing wife who loves to cook and is a food fanatic. She's all into, growing, healthy. I mean, she sprouts our grains on the bread. I mean, she is all into this stuff. And because of that, we don't eat food that comes in through the windows. She only shops on the outside of the aisles. It's something that we can pronounce everything we eat. I reap the rewards. It's the same thing with all the relationships in your life. In business, I've got great business partners which have helped me get to new heights because they hold me accountable. They're not afraid to tell me the truth, and they open up opportunities that I probably wouldn't have seen if not for them. The next lesson learned, strategically use blinders. So you see those pictures of horse-drawn carriages 100, 150 years ago? What do? On the horse, they've got these blinders. Why? Because when you're going through a city and all that commotion, everything going on, you don't want to get distracted. You don't want to startle the animal, and it just makes the animal a lot more efficient and effective. Well, treat yourself like that animal and cut off all the distractions. This is probably the biggest challenge that people face nowadays. All these notifications, all these distractions, all these shiny objects which are drawing us in. You need to be able to be focused like a laser. I've talked about the Pareto principle, the 20% which yields you the 80%. I've also talked about the deep Pareto principle, the 4% that yields you the 64%. You want to take the time to identify what is truly important, what is urgent, what do you really need to focus in on like a laser that's going to have the big impact. And that's when the magic is going to happen. Now, before I get to this next lesson, let me ask you a question. Are you looking forward to this year? Are you upset because you've got tons of problems facing you? Or are you excited because you've got tons of challenges in your way that are going to test you and you're going to be able to find out what you're made out of? Mindset, gentlemen, this is what I want to talk about. If you see the world as full of problems or you see it as full of challenges, you're seeing the same thing. You're just looking at it differently. Life is about sacrifice. Life is about going out there, and whether you want to be in great shape or you want to be overweight, it's about sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice either way. Whether you want to be wealthy or whether you want to be poor, it's about sacrifice because you're going to have to sacrifice to go either way. You only get to choose your sacrifice. And I stole that from Jordan Peterson. Absolutely love it.
Roughly speaking.
And it's about your mindset in this lifetime. Are you going to approach this as this is going to be your story and you're the hero of it, or you're the victim? And I truly hope that you take that step back. And again, it's a daily decision. That's beautiful because every single day you can choose to become the hero of that day, of that hour, of that moment. So gentlemen, choose to become the man you know yourself to be. So what video to watch next? How about 10 signs you'll be successful this year? What are they? We'll find out, gents, by clicking on this video right here. Come on. I'm going to hold it up for you for a few seconds. A few more. Come on, click on it. Go. It's a good video. Go check it out.